Hello friends, today we're bringing you a video about everything you need to know about Geralt. Enjoy watching. You've seen that Geralt isn't just some lazy guy, he's extremely well trained. After all, what we call Witcher training isn't just about swinging a sword, it's a comprehensive system that also teaches you plenty about monsters. As you know, not knowing much about monsters means you'll be at a disadvantage, struggle, or even die when facing them, which is why you encounter many fallen witches in both the games and the books. Geralt, however, received the very best of this training at the School of the Wolf. He devoured every book he could get his hands on and even completed classes in subjects like astronomy at the famous Oxenfurt Academy. He might not be considered a complete graduate, but when it comes to many topics, he's at least as knowledgeable as any graduate. In the games, we can dress Geralt up as a stylist, sporting a long flowing beard that makes him look dashing, but it should be noted that Geralt isn't really a fan of that look in his everyday life. While the books don't give us precise details about his appearance, his personality comes through in his dialogue. For instance, in a conversation with Dandelion, he mentions that even a few days' growth on his beard bothers him and he'd prefer to shave it off. If you're not letting Geralt roam around with a clean-shaven look as sharp as, say, a Scillop, then you're, well, betraying him. You've also noticed that one of the signature items of the Witcher schools in both the games and the books is their medallions. Although these medallions indicate which school a Witcher belongs to, they're also enchanted and grant them special powers. Each Witcher medallion, which vibrates when sensing monsters, is normally unique. Even though the TV series might mess things up, it did a great job showing how every Witcher's handmade medallion is distinct. However, the medallion Geralt wears in the games isn't the one he originally sported when he left the School of the Wolf. Even if I wasn't a big fan of that decision in the novels, he ends up giving his medallion to someone else and becomes medallion-less. The medallion we see in the games is actually one of the medallions that Ciri acquires after she kills Leo Bonhart near the end of the books. In short, in the games, Geralt is wearing someone else's medallion rather than his own. Who knows whose medallion it was? Imagine if they added a side quest, The Lost Medallion, where you uncover the story of its original owner and how it was lost. That would be amazing. Hey, CD Projekt Red, hear my plea. Witchers might hold a variety of beliefs, but judging by what they've been through, most aren't exactly devout anymore. Although Geralt never explicitly states his religious views, his words make it clear that he's a non-believer. He's convinced that the world has changed, that evil is an ever-present constant, and that choices rarely change that. Beliefs that ultimately push him toward atheism. Geralt's voice actor, our very own Doug Cockle, hadn't played a single Witcher game before working on the third one. The guy wasn't even a video game fan, but after voicing Geralt, he went out, bought a PlayStation 4, and immediately started playing Witcher 3. That's the kind of game Witcher 3 is. It makes you want to buy a PlayStation 4. Now here's something you might not know. Geralt once killed his closest friend. For those of you who have read the books, or of course played the games, you know a thing or two about what Geralt is capable of in desperate situations. There are moments when we end up taking off Gaetan's head, others when we stab Letho in the back, and several other attempts at hunting down fellow Witchers. And while that might sound like I'm throwing some game trash talk around, it all started when a young, inexperienced Geralt, barely out of his Witcher training, was forced to kill his best friend from the School of the Wolf, a Witcher named Gweld. During a Witcher tournament that I've mentioned in my videos, a tournament orchestrated by kings and mages trying to pit witches against each other, a powerful spell clouded the mind of the Witcher facing Geralt. Under its influence, Gweld attacked Geralt. Caught between the choice of killing his friend or being killed himself, Geralt chose to kill him, and that's the only way he could escape that situation. Once again, when it comes to those dishonorable sorcerers, we don't hold it against Geralt. What could he do? Refuse and anger the gods. Speaking of relationships, Geralt and Dandelion were actually old flames. The books mention that they frequently shared passionate tongue-in-cheek kisses and were quite intimate. Although the games don't give this romance much room to breathe, it's widely known across the continent that Geralt is gay. And in a nod to that, Netflix had Dandelion kiss Radovid. Just kidding, friends. If you got distracted there, consider it a little detour. Now, back on track. Now here's something you might be surprised to hear. Geralt's true love is Yennefer. It's not Shani, Triss, Fringilla, or the ladies from the brothel, my friends. Unfortunately, Geralt of Rivia is absolutely smitten with Yennefer. He loves her fiery, volatile, and even toxic moods, and he just can't help but chase after her. In a way, this love stems from Yennefer's own tragic, lost nature. Geralt sees her past, witnesses the pain she endured, knowing that she was once a woman who wasn't exactly beautiful, even being derogatorily called a piglet, and who was hastily cast out by her family. And in that moment he thinks, I've found the woman of my life. Even if they have relationships that go one way or another, and even if other people come between them, this pair always finds their way back to each other. If I were in Geralt's shoes, I wouldn't be chasing Yennefer this hard. I'd probably blow all my cash at Passiflora instead, but our man certainly knows what he wants. You probably know that on the day he chose his name, Geralt picked a very strange one, and that Vesemir was like, "Dude, is that really the name you want? Pick something simpler." It was around that time that Geralt, whose beard hadn't even started to sweat yet, decided on Geralt of Rivia and set out to live up to it. Rivia is a region in the north, but it doesn't have quite the same northern twang as Kedwen, which is at the very tip of the continent. Over the years, Geralt learned the Rivia accent and began using it. Of course, in the games, we get Doug Cockle's English accent, since, as you know, the games translate the fantasy into our own world, but originally, Geralt speaks with a well-learned Rivia accent. The trailer for Witcher 3 actually hints at the first event Geralt encounters after leaving the School of the Wolf. To sum it up, Geralt is riding his horse, casually scanning his surroundings, when he suddenly hears the clamor of a distant brawl. Curious, he approaches and finds an adolescent girl being attacked by bandits. The girl's father is there too, but he's completely helpless in the situation. Geralt immediately dismounts and unleashes a flurry of strikes, smacking heads, guts, and swords, leaving the bandits utterly stunned. And it's not just the bandits who are shocked. The girl's father, witnessing the Witcher's superhuman abilities and brutal efficiency firsthand, gets so frightened that he flees without even checking on his daughter, and before you know it, bandits down, father gone, the girl passes out. It's at moments like these that Geralt's "don't get involved in everything" attitude really shines through. These very scenes also appear in the trailer I used as background while editing this video. The events have been tweaked a bit, but their original spirit remains intact. A quick note here, as a child, Geralt was taken to the Witcherkeep Kaer Morhen, where he was trained and raised. When he eventually ventured out into the world, he had to face harsh realities and often thought, "I wish I were human." He's not the type to easily fall for the allure of power. Instead, he's constantly in search of a normal life. Geralt is a knight blessed in the north, of course not long after he ends up cursed again, but by then he's already been knighted. These events take place during the Battle of Brenna Bridge. Geralt finds himself inadvertently caught in the middle of a war and instinctively comes to the aid of the Northerners, who turn out to be the people of Rivia and Lyria. At the head of the army is Queen Meve, whose mouth is notably injured, who, having seen Geralt's superhuman abilities save her forces, feels deeply grateful and indebted to him. To repay her debt, she proclaims him a knight blessed in both Rivia and Lyria. I'm not sure if there are any other knightly witches out there. If you know of any, drop a comment so I can learn about them too. Alright friends, we've come to the end of this detail-packed video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.